NerdandSon.
Welcome to the NerdandSon podcast. I am Nerd. I am Ralph.
I'm Son. I'm Connor.
Hey.
And together, NerdandSon podcast.
Oh, that's so awesome. But we are here to go over our opinions and ideas and thoughts that we have on a Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game. So,
yes.
All right, so we can go ahead and jump into our topic here. So,
Absolutely.
And we decided to go a bit, how would we go about planning an encounter? So, I don't know. Do you want to start off with this one, or how do you want to do this?
No. See, this is a you-led episode. This is we're not really going through how we would plan an encounter. This is your step by step. So I'll you go on. I'll interject with just bullshit. Keep things lively.
Okay.
And yeah. So.
Okay. So well, first of all, planning encounters, to me, they're kind of free form and everything like that. I don't plan out everything step by step by step by step. I just have like a general outline, and wow, you are downing that water. Oh, wow. Okay. So what do we want to, when we're set? Nice.
I told you I'd interject with bullshit.
Okay. Cut out that cough somehow. Okay. So basically, when we're setting the counter, it's going to do a couple different things. And from a DM aspect, what kind of things do you want the encounter to... Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. It was the water.
Wow. Okay. This is great. Excellent podcasting. Okay.
You come here for the top quality podcasting.
Yes.
That's what you're here for.
That's okay. So what do you basically, when you design an encounter, I'm trying to plan out, and what would you design the encounter for? Okay. Is it for a side quest? Is it to waste time? Drain resources if they got too much stuff. Do we need to move the story forward to what, fill in missing clues that the party didn't get or missed or didn't get a chance to do, or reroute the party back on track? Okay. Or you can actually use it to show a usefulness of a item that they're carrying that they might have picked up a while back that they don't remember about, or they haven't used, or it hasn't activated or anything like that. But yeah, a bunch of different items. So let's go ahead and we'll go in detail of Sidequest. Okay?
Yes.
Because with the party, you're going to have, just like anything else, you're going to have the main goal that the party wants to go to. But there might be different times where you might want to do different things on the side, or to get to the final boss that you want specifically, and in your head you need them to be like a certain level. Side quests are great. So you can turn side quests into just something odd to do, like for the evening, just to kind of change things up, especially if the quest is getting dry. Or you can do the side quest to have them acquire different things that you need them to get, like they need special items or anything else like that too. So, I mean, a side quest can be done for a bunch of different things, just do something different.
Or their long lost evil twin shows up out of nowhere, the end causes trouble,
Yeah, I mean, just kind of change things up for the thing. One thing you can do like a side quest for is, being holiday time and doing like a special one-off holiday episode just to have fun or anything like that. So I know we've talked about past on the podcast about the Halloween episodes we did. We also did a Thanksgiving episode and also did a Christmas episode. So it was just fun just to kind of change things up and everything like that too. So, but yeah, side quests are actually decent. Also too, the side quests, if you have them set up for like 3 or 4 different options for them to do, that actually gives the players more power or control. To let them decide which way they want to go. And then you can actually change that side quest around to keep them on track or to route them in a different direction. But in the end, as a dungeon master, you want to make your players feel empowered. So giving them options like for multiple side quests, then they have the desire to do what they feel is want, even though you might manipulate it to be
the illusion of choice.
Exactly. I mean, that is the thing that we talked about in
manipulate, gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Girl boss.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not getting that one, but okay.
Then you're not with it.
I'm not. I'm old. Remember, I'm old. So. All right. One of the other things, too, we'll go to the second one we talked about, is waste time. Okay?
Yep. This is the one I have a question about because it just seems like I wouldn't want to waste time. So I want an explanation. Give me an explanation.
Yes. This is where you don't have your final encounter set up or prepped, or they move too fast through the story or the campaign, and you don't have the area built. Like, for example, if this is going to take place in a final dungeon, do you not have the dungeon set up? Do you not have it filled out or anything else like that? So
have you not done your homework?
That could actually be, yeah. So, I mean, you don't want to call it a waste time or make the players feel like it's a waste time, but you might set up an encounter to do just that, to buy yourself as a dungeon master time.
So not really wasting time, but buying time.
Yes.
So you can get something set up.
Buying time would be a better way of actually putting it. So, but yeah, the title I typed in here was waste time. So, but yeah, that's it. Because sometimes life happens and you might not have everything set up. Instead of... Especially if you want the in-game to be fulfilling and have everything that the players want in there, you want to make sure that's set up correctly and everything. So you might have to buy yourself a little time, 1-2 episodes or something like that, to do something like that. But as long as the players don't feel like it's wasting time, then you've accomplished your goal and everything for your encounter. So... Now, the other thing that you can do for encounters, like, for example, if they're coming up on something and you kind of want to make it a challenge, is you might set up encounters before they get to the end goal to drain resources. Okay?
That's fair. I'm the kind of DM that, like, I don't really track resources that much. You know, I don't have players count their arrows or something like that, but... definitely there's a time and a place for that, you know?
Right.
So, like, this could be useful in order to make something more difficult later on.
Right. Well, and basically what you do is, like, for example, if you have the mini boss at the end of this dungeon, okay? And you're setting up these encounters because you want that mini boss, even though they're going to defeat it, you do want it to have a challenge. But if you let them go in fully rested... then they're going to blow through it in a heartbeat, and it's not going to be a challenge. If they've already used up some of their resources, then it's going to make the encounter a little bit difficult. They're still going to prevail, but it's going to be a little bit difficult. So them traversing through the dungeon, they're not going to be able to have a chance to get a short rest or a long rest or anything else like that, and you could do it like that. So now, if you...
also, you know... this couldn't just be to drain resources, but just to use them, you know. I don't know about you as a connoisseur of old JRPGs and such, but in video games, are you the kind of player that will hoard all your good items for the right time to use them, and then all of a sudden you finish the game with a full inventory?
Yes, I do.
I do as well. So, you know, this could not just be drain resources, but to actually use the resources they've been gathering.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it depends on how you actually want to do it. But yeah, sometimes it's having them lower on health, not having the cleric have all its heal spells or turn spells and everything like that, all the chances and opportunities, makes an encounter a little bit difficult because the players would actually... approach it a lot differently than if they're fully rested and healed and everything. So yeah, that's kind of what the reason that the encounter would be for. So the next one I got on here is move the story forward. Okay, and what I mean by that is set up an encounter that would actually play against some of the clues that maybe were given in the tavern, different history, different speak that people have whispered to them or spoken to them or everything like that. But it could be a clue that they've actually were given, but for some reason they didn't write it down. They don't remember it. And this would actually reinforce that clue into the story. So they would go, oh, yeah, I remember this. Okay, this actually kind of makes sense, and this is what we need to be doing. So, and that kind of ties into the next thing I have here, which is the reroute to put back on track. So if you're filling in the missing gaps, clues, or the different reasons why they're on the quest or anything like that mission, this will actually help put that back on track. So you might want to set up something specifically that way. So, and to go on to more of, getting players and everything on track, that is really, I find, as a dungeon master, the hardest thing to actually do, because players over time, especially if you have a long running campaign, where I've done ones which lasted years, to get them to that end goal, things are going to drift. They're going to have different thoughts. They're going to have different ideas. They're going to not remember something that was given them, or an item that they're carrying that they picked up 6 months ago. Because real time and game time are two totally different things. It could only be like 3 weeks in game time, but in real time it could be 6 months later.
That could be a future episode about keeping track of time in games.
Yeah, we can do the thing.
I'll talk all day and night about how I'm all about like loosey goosey, however we feel, whatever we want to, however we want to do all this, players choose timetables must be kept. That is the hill that I die on for DMing. Is timetables must be kept. We know, I know what day and what day it is, how long things have progressed.
Right. So
that specifically the villains I have set up and the other factions in the world, and we can talk about factions eventually, but timetables have to be kept in order to make sure that all things are progressing as they should be, so that you don't have a week where a year of things happen and you realize that, this has only been we've only had 2 weeks in game time, and now we're level 20,
Yeah.
So,
and also too, you can do that with timetable and things like that, because if you go back to your JRPG setup in your video game, time doesn't actually progress with the big bad until you hit certain story points.
Yeah.
And then you can make little side quests here and there or whatever before you get to that story point, which progresses the time in the actual game itself. Because I'm currently going back and I'm playing all the pixel remasters of the Final Fantasy series. Okay, and I'm currently on Final Fantasy IV, which I played as on the SNES, because when I bought my SNES back in '92, Final Fantasy II. Final Fantasy II was the first game I bought with it. Okay, and that one was labeled Final Fantasy IV in Japan. So going back and playing it now, I don't remember shit. There's some characters and different base things that I remember, but other than that, there's not much I remember. But you go off, you can do different side quests, you do different things, but the story itself and the big bad doesn't progress until you hit certain story points. So you can play the game and everything like that as a timetable, and that also helped things get back on track.
Speaking of getting back on track, do you want to go on a tangent real quick? Speaking of the SNES.
Okay, go ahead. Let's go on our tangent, and then I'll have to create an encounter to get you back.
All right. So here's there's been a keyboard I have been eyeing, that I have not had the will to get myself, and it is the 8-bit do or 8-bit Do, whatever it is, SNES keyboard.
Oh.
It's just like it's a keyboard that's like it's all like the gray and black and white.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, red, and it's like all like stylized to be like the SNES. And
that's cool.
It also comes with some super big buttons, but that's not as fun. The real cool thing is it's like SNES, and there's a Famicom version.
Yeah,
that's like the red and the just like the Famicom, and it's got the Japanese keyboard. Okay. But yeah, this keyboard is awesome, and I just haven't had the wherewithal within me to justify it to myself.
Yeah,
because it's a $90 keyboard. So
it's not that much more expensive than a lot of other keyboards.
Yeah, no, but it's just like I have a nice keyboard. I have a really nice keyboard.
Yeah. So okay, so now I got to Yes, I got to put you back on track here. So now, the next thing you do. That we kind of hear why we want to plan an encounter is we want to show the usefulness of a carried item.
We're just gonna keep going. We're not even gonna talk about that.
Oh no. We're gonna talk about that. So
no, not that. Do you want to run that again?
What do you mean?
Your voice cracked.
Did my voice crack?
Yeah.
Well, I have sinus problems too. So
okay. Well,
hey. You're going to have to, unfortunately, you'll have to get some voice cracking in here.
Okay. Well,
so
let's retake that back.
Okay. But let's, as we're talking about for showing usefulness of a carried item, is say they picked up something from a previous adventure that they don't know what the usefulness is for. They might know that they've had to actually pick it up and to have it for some reason, but they don't know why they would need it. And then we can actually set up an encounter where, say, it activates or it does something specifically, and then that gives them just like a aha moment. They go, oh, now I know how this is going to actually work. To figure this out to use towards the final boss or whatever they want to.
Like if you've got orcs, an encounter with orcs, and you want to show off that the blade will light up when orcs are nearby.
Yes, exactly.
You know.
So yeah, because you can do exactly something like that, just like in the Lord of the Rings there, or actually that was in the Hobbit, but. The blade was in the Lord of the Rings too, but yeah, doing something like that because they might not know why they need to pick things up, and you want to give them that aha moment every once in a while. So, and that actually ties them back into the actual game and everything, which is great. So, okay, so that's kind of the main reasons that I have that you would want to have an encounter do that you would design. So there's multiple different reasons and everything like that. And now, another thing that you can do, and I have a couple different things here of what you can also have an encounter do. Okay, biggest thing here is you're listening to your players. They're openly talking about their plan, what's happening, how they're going to approach things and stuff like that. You can actually, before they meet like the big boss, you can actually show basically a small encounter before they reach it to show holes in their thought process. Okay. Because you don't want them.
That's the best place to mine for ideas is your players, you know? Let's say you start a campaign and you don't know how to finish it, and one of your players goes, I think this is going to happen. And you go, yeah, no, I don't know. We're going to have to see. And meanwhile, you're writing down in your notes, you're like, that's a good idea.
Yeah, but I mean, you do want to take cues from your player and everything like that, because as a dungeon master, you want to adapt to their style of play, how they want to do things, what you guys agreed to, and what their expectations are, because their expectations might change during the game. So you want to design the encounters to actually fit those expectations to make sure they're having fun and having an enjoyable time, because I get my enjoyment as a DM by running the game and having a successful encounters. Okay. And when they're enjoying it, I'm actually enjoying it. So that's how I really like doing my stuff. But showing them, like, for example, you know what your big bad's going to be. You know what the encounter's going to be, what they're going to be able to fight, what they're going to handle, carry, what he's going to throw at, his different phases of his attacks, everything else like that. The players might be openly talking about how they would do that, or they're going to covet the certain weapon, or they're going to get the Staff of Magnus, Mages, everything like that, and this is going to solve all their problems. So if you put like a small encounter before them where they would need to use that and show that it's their idea is not going to work, and then that's going to help them later on, because the last thing you want to do is get them to the big bad and then all of a sudden they fail. And as a DM, you don't want them to fail during the last battle. You want it to be difficult. Yep. You don't want a TPK unless they don't listen to you at all, but hopefully you don't do that. But ultimately,
that's the thing. You should not be in a position, because, you know, as a DM, you want to be on the side of your players.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
You want them to win just as much as they want to win.
Right. You still got to make it challenging and everything like that, and you don't want to really dumb down your big bad to make it not as interesting, because they made ultimately bad decisions that you think in their book. I mean, to you think they've made bad decisions. So you want to kind of make that fun. So that could be what you want to create an encounter for. So, and it's the same thought and stuff like that. Like, for example, if they got the thought in the process, but if they're thinking about going down a certain direction that you know is not going to work at all, or it's going to be completely opposite to what the end stuff is, and you might not be able to change your whole game around to the direction that they're going to run, you might want to actually set up encounters to kind of deter them from that certain process.
Just like in Dark Souls 1, I believe it is. There is you wake up in this, like, I can't even talk about it. I've never played it, but I do know that there is a good bit of game design in there where if you take a specific turn, like let's say left, I don't know the specifics again, but if you go left, there are these incredibly hard skeleton enemies, right? You can by all means go left, and you can by all means beat your head against the wall and all that, but it is meant to go, okay, this is difficult, right? And then you turn to the right, and then that's the content that's like, this is where you're supposed to be. And then when everything loops back around, like Dark Souls levels do, boom, there's a skeleton enemies, and boom, you can take them out real easy, because that's, you know, it's shaping the narrative and shaping like the and guiding, instead of just like, because they could easily, in any design, you know, that could easily just be a wall, and then you have to go this way. But by giving the players the choice, you know, and instead of from a video game perspective where you're starting from, you have no choice, and you're giving the players choice, right? Instead, we're going backwards. The players have infinite choice,
right?
And we're trying to reel that in.
Yeah, well, it's always the illusion of choice and stuff like that, because if you're going to be in an open world RPG and everything like that, and big game and stuff like that, it still has a linear progression, because you can't go from one area to another without being at that particular level. You can, the game will let you, but the game's going to knock you down real fast. So you do have the ability to do that, but I guess the best game, I don't know. I like the Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey games. Okay, Odyssey I thought was great, but you had to progress through certain areas, certain locations, and everything like that to grow. And even though it was open and you can technically go anywhere you want to, it did still have this illusion of openness, but it still tried to guide you in the proper direction, exactly the way you're saying. So, as playing video games and everything like that, we see this all the time. We just need to do the whole thing, besides exactly what you said. There's only one path, and only one path only that you can go. No, give them the option to go in different paths, but have them also realize that, ooh, maybe this might not be the right way. Let's go this way instead.
Yep.
So that way that makes them feel like they have the power and everything. So that's
that
all good.
only works, really, if you're dealing with an encounter that's too hard. That only works if the players know that they can leave.
Yes, that is true.
That's not common. That's not a common belief, but it needs to be
But if you're
said,
doing your description properly and you're describing them where they actually feel that they're going to be overpowered, then I think you're doing a good job as a dungeon master. But if you just throw something too high at them blindly, I don't think you're doing a good job as a dungeon master, and it's the wrong way of actually going. So,
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Okay. Now, the other thing you can do when you're doing an encounter, say you don't know what you want to do, and there's a bunch of people I listen to that love random tables.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a random table person. I kind of like them to give different ideas to me, but ultimately I don't use them in my games as much. So, I kind of wondered what your thoughts and everything was, because with my encounters, my personal thing is I'll see the random table, I'll go through the list of monsters, I'll go, okay, I like that, I like that, I like that, and then I make the decision of what I want to off that.
Absolutely.
I don't.
That's usually how I'll do it. Yep.
Because I want it to make sense in the land. Okay, they're traveling, doing a hex crawl through a grassland. I don't need a mountainous creature to randomly appear in the middle of a grassland.
Yep.
So I want something to make sense with the environment that they're in. Okay, so they're a good idea to look at, but I don't like the randomness and everything on that too, because some of the tables that I've seen, even in some of the nicer books, everything, they're just too random for me. And that's the same thing with magic items. I don't care for random tables of magic items, because you know what, maybe I don't want them to have the option to roll a 0/0 and have an artifact randomly. Yep. No, that kind of changes the whole balance of the game, so I want to kind of control those. Give them the option to buy different things, like in high-end stores and really magic-rich areas if they visit, to a certain level, but to randomly get an artifact, I just don't think that's correct.
Absolutely, and I understand, and I feel pretty much the same way. I will use the random tables for inspiration of what to use in my things, but if I ever used random tables, it would have to be curated, right? And something that's like, instead of, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do with this encounter, like in the planning stage, it would be, I make a bunch of encounters that make sense within the story and the setting, and then at the table be like, I don't know what to throw at the players right now, and then roll on that chart to go, okay, this is what's coming up, and it makes sense within the story, makes sense within the game. That would be the only time, but usually session to session, it's I like to play where, like, I know what's going on generally. Yeah.
So so we're pretty much in agreement in that and everything like that. I think random tables are good.
Sorry, no, never mind. I have to be on the opposite side of you so that we fight.
You can't win. I pull rank. My rank, not your rank, because in the military you outrank me, but that's okay. Okay, so I think this would be a good point right now to take our first intermission.
Hi guys, if you want to take a break from role-playing and watch someone burn their face off while eating hot peppers, head on over to YouTube at 13 Peppers and like and subscribe. And if you want to grow these peppers yourself, you can actually purchase these seeds at 13peppersbyralph.com. With that, have a good day.
Alright, so we are back here. Now,
Woo!
Yes. Okay, now, just got done talking about random tables. Let's talk about creature encounters, okay? And making stuff like that. So, and I think we kind of brought this up under random tables and everything like that, is having random creatures over story-driven creatures. I think random creatures are fine, but as long as they make sense to the environment that you in, to the story, not just having something pop up.
Yes.
Story-driven creatures are good, especially if you want to drive in, like, for example, you have goblin war bands that are taking over an area. So you're going to have random encounters of small little goblin groups.
Yep.
That'd be more of a story-driven encounter over just like random. Items like that kind of actually make sense to the story. So it kind of can go both, but take a look at your environment. If you got the whole land being taken over by kobolds, okay, they're going to drive off a
then
lot
what is
of
going on in your land, first off?
Yeah, first off. But
that's a little embarrassing.
Yes. But yeah, but if they're raiding and pillaging the entire land right through that area, they're going to drive off all of your random creatures because they're not going to be around. You're going to have some kind of little fairy cluster or fae cluster in the middle of a waging kobold army. It doesn't make sense. So and kind of how it, so take a look at what you're doing and kind of make stuff specifically for your story, specifically for the area and everything. At least that's what my
context. Yeah,
exactly, because context all
if
matters.
If it doesn't work in the immediate context, then it should be able to be justified.
Yes,
you know. Mm-hmm. So you can do things out of place as long as you can justify it.
Yes. Now, talking about out of place monsters. Let's say your theme and everything like that. For example, you have like a God of Ooze theme that's actually going on and stuff like that. You can have a random
for ooze.
So
have you seen the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that was a reference to that. Yeah, we prefer the term ooze. You should watch it. It's very
I need to watch it because I've heard great things and everything. I just haven't got around to it. So,
but 1 second before we get back in.
Yep.
Real quick.
Tangent.
All right. Cool.
Aha.
All right.
There we go.
Let's continue.
No. Awesome. Got to get that cough out.
Got to do the cat like.
Yeah. Great hairball. Yeah,
I can't wait until I get the compilation from you of just like random shit I do.
Oh, that stuff's coming because since we're going to be on tangents here, I'm putting together all of our end credits to our tasting videos because most people don't ever watch the end of the video, and that's some of the best stuff. So I'm just going to release compilations of all our end credits and our stupidity. So yeah. I should have a couple of those out in the next month or so.
I think we should
because we have almost an hour and a half.
Patreon tier outtakes when they happen.
Oh yeah, because I mean, as of right now with our tasting videos, I have over an hour and a half of our stupidity. So that's a lot of content I get to play with. But yay, love it. Love content. So
ooh, that's what I'm talking about, baby.
But let's go ahead and go back to keeping creatures part of the theme. Like, for example, if you're dealing with an ooze god, okay, you can have out of place creatures, but then reskin them with like a template with like ooze or anything else coming on. Or if there's some kind of infection in the area, have these creatures come out with a template that's reskinned with this infection on them. So that way it kind of makes the creatures random, but also part of the story and story driven. Okay? And that goes back to your encounters of reinforcing exactly what they're in for and what the whole wow. My mind just went completely blank. With the whole reason that they're there for the actual story and the campaign.
So absolutely.
Templates are awesome, and like I said, I've not played much 5th edition, get back into it and things like that, but that's one thing I really liked with 3.5 4th edition is there was just a whole bunch of templates real easy that you could just throw on creatures, and it just gave me as a dungeon master really good ideas to go ahead and make templates myself to be able to throw on creatures easily. So absolutely. It was actually really, really nice. So Yeah, so those are going to be kind of doing the encounters and stuff like that, and the reasons that you want to actually do the encounters. Okay. Now creating them are a little bit. Let's get into actually creating an encounter and how we'd actually go about doing it. So I asked you earlier to come up with a random monster for me. You haven't told me what it is yet or anything like that. And then what I'll do is I'll come up. Okay. I'll just come up with an encounter right off the bat, or just live here with that creature and everything too. So, God, hopefully you don't throw me something weird here. So,
I will. Don't worry.
Oh, great. Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm going to throw out one of my favorite D&D monsters. All right.
Yeah.
Can you guess what it is? Do you know what it is? You don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
It's a bullet.
It's a bullet.
A bullet.
A bullet. Okay.
A bullet.
That's cool. Okay.
Bullet.
So.
Mon ami, Micheline.
I didn't know that was your. I didn't know that was your favorite. I got a couple of nice.
I love them. Land sharks.
Oh yeah, land sharks are also. I have a couple of the large first edition D&D miniatures when they first came out in Series 1.
I know
of those, and
I loved that.
I have the complete Series 1 and Series 2 D&D miniatures, which are awesome. Love it. Okay, so. Land shark, real simple and everything like that, depending on the scenario and stuff. So let's go ahead. Hey, they're traversing, say we're doing a hex from point A to point B. Now the bullet can actually work in a whole bunch of different scenarios. It could be a swampy area, it could be a forest area, it could be even in a grasslands. Have them actually come across that. Now let's make this interesting and stuff like that, just not doing a random shark and everything like hunting. Okay, let's say the party comes across and here we go, they're traveling through the forest. They hear some cries off into the distance. Okay, and they come across a miniature bullet. Okay, say it is an infant bullet. Okay,
baby bullet.
Yes, and it actually has gotten hurt.
Bullet
puppy. So this is at this particular point, you're going to have your players going to do a couple different things. Either going, okay, this is a creature, let's just get rid of it. Okay, or oh crap, if
that's hilarious.
Oh, I know, but you don't know what some players actually do. Or you can actually have your players go. Oh, wait a second. Okay. Or you can have your players go, oh shit, where is Mama? We need to get out of here. Or they can go, oh, a random bullet in this area. There's a village just like 3 mile away. This would not be good for the villagers. Let's go ahead and use the baby that's hurt as bait for a trap when the bullet comes. So those are just 3 different quick items. So you don't want to do that. There's different scenarios depending on the process of the players. So at that particular point, that's how you can design the scenario using just the bullet on there. And that's just 3 quick things too. The other thing is depending on the adventure, you can have, like what we talked about, let's go back with the ooze. You could have the outside of the lair or the temple that they're actually going to, that's actually being patrolled by ooze infected land sharks. Okay, so you can create this scenario that way as more of a protection that they have to actually go through. So taking a basic creature like that and just throwing up with the different scenarios in your head real quick, and I think that's 1, 2, 3. That gave you 4 quick different scenarios, I think, that you can actually do with your players at that time. And depending on how they first encounter the creature, where they want to do, or anything like that. Now, you can use this encounter to, like we talked about, to drain a couple of resources. You'd want to have it powered down if they can't handle that tough of a creature, because a bullet is a little bit tougher creature and everything like that. Yep. You can adjust the size, which is going to
check real
quick. How much damage it actually does, or you can have it even bigger, like a big elder one. So you can have a elder bullet.
TR5.
Okay, a CR5. It's still a pretty tough creature.
That's pretty tough.
So, because you got to consider most scenarios and most games don't get past 10 or 11. So this is a good mid-tier campaign creature. for a single encounter.
Yep.
But also, too, with the scenario, if you want to use a bullet to do that, you can power it down by making it smaller, which is going to make its hit dice less, or you can actually have like an elder bullet come across, which is going to have even greater. And then on the top of that, you can actually have a dire template on top of the bullet too.
Yep.
So you can have a dire bullet. There's a whole bunch of different things you can actually do, but taking different things like that and just thinking kind of outside the box. Don't go, oh, wait a second, here comes a bullet swimming through the thing and it jumps up. Because all of a sudden you see a fin making its way through the path and through the dirt, ripping up the soil left and right. And it's like, what the hell is there a shark doing in the land? And all of a sudden it bumps up and you realize it's a bullet. What do you do? Oh, that's not really that descriptive. But if you kind of make a scenario where you have like a young little bullet there, or you come across a bullet eating something else, give the players a option of progressing with the encounter or running from the encounter. Once again, that option of elution and everything like that. Or you can actually set it up where the players realize they cannot fight the bullet. Say they're all second level. They come up with a bullet. They're going to go, oh shit, run. Let's change the scenario. Now the bullet is chasing them. Let's make this
horror.
It's a horror. But then that actually changes the encounter too. So if they're able to elude the bullet, then that still counts as an encounter and they can earn experience and everything from that. So don't make it a straight fight. Give it different options and everything at that particular point. So
if you make all your encounters a straight fight to the death, just with whatever you come across, that's boring.
Yes, it is.
You gotta add a little spice. You gotta,
Okay.
I know we're two white people. We don't know much about spice, but
Yeah. You want to test my spiciness of what I eat? Yeah. Me running a hot pepper channel and that kind of spiciness.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but I don't know. What do you think about those scenarios? I mean, those were just random off my head.
Yeah. So a couple thoughts. All right. Hear me out. In the words of a former president, you're wrong. You're wrong. We all know that wouldn't happen. I don't know about your players, but I know my players and the kinds of people that are my friends that I would be around. They would try to tame that little duet.
There you go. That's another option.
They would friend it.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen. It's if I introduce. I know in my games.
Okay, so let's turn this around. Let's turn this around here real fast. Okay, say I'm the player, and I come across the bullet. The bullet. Okay, and I tell you, hey, you know what? I want to tame it. I think this could actually be a great companion pet.
Mm-hmm.
So I go handle beast, and I'm going to roll handle beast for the bullet. What would you do in this scenario?
Well, freak out because that's not my plan. I'm kidding. No. I would, let's see. Off the top of my head, I can imagine that it could be, you could make it like a couple of animal handling checks, one to like get close to it, another to like touch it, another to like friend it, maybe feed it or something, just make it so that it's not so much a just like one roll and you're done. You can make it a couple rolls to like,
okay,
make that a little more like a little more involved than just like one roll,
okay,
amp up the tension, and all the while you can freak out because you can be like, I didn't plan on my players having a bullet.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what this is the conversation that we have for planning encounters and being a dungeon master, is because players are going to throw you curveballs all the time. So you got to actually be 100%. On your feet to be able to throw different ideas, different scenarios, shape the scenarios to ultimately get it to be exactly what you want as a dungeon master, while also giving the players the fun and enjoyment. Okay, so if as a player, what you said right there, all of a sudden they have they rolled 3 beast handling rolls, whatever you want to actually use for the skill check. They throw and they 20 right off the bat, not a problem. Now they have befriended a bullet. Okay, do you want to actually roll another check, like for example a knowledge check, going how unpredictable this creature is, and they would realize, even though they befriended it right now, that they're going to have to keep rolling these checks before the creature turns on them.
I don't necessarily like that.
So, I mean, that could be an option there. The other thing is
that feels bad, because I've given the player an opportunity to befriend an animal, right? And I have given my player has that they like it. They like this animal that is their friend now. And it would feel bad, and it feels mean-spirited to just take that away. To be like, yeah, you can have it, but not for long.
Well, that's fine. Then all you have to do at that particular point as a dungeon master is start adjusting your scenarios for the bullet.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then you can actually create encounters specifically for that bullet that they can actually use. They could be, treat it like a dog, basically. You can have it do a fetch thing for them. Or it can actually do a distraction for the players. Something like that. And you can actually use it. Then just make your encounters around that particular process. Because I'm going to tell you right now, being a dungeon master and doing it for so many years, there's so much stuff that I started with that got completely thrown out the window, and we just did other things. So you're going to have to actually be able to adjust and everything off the fly. As a dungeon master, you can't get upset if the players do something weird on you. That's just...
Oh, no, you can't. Because that's just part of the deal.
That is part of the deal. And being able to overcome those challenges is honestly, personally, what I like as a dungeon master. Throwing out the different scenarios, doing everything like that, making the players happy, let them figure out what they want to do, and working with it and go. Because ultimately, I'm still going to get them to the big bad. Ultimately, depending on what they have, they're going to be able to fight the battle. I can adjust anything at any time to fit the need, and I'm comfortable enough in my skill as a dungeon master. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm the best. I'm not going to say I'm the greatest. I've just been doing it for so long, and through my experience, you can throw pretty much anything at me, and I'll come up with something.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And it's good. And also, I do want to say, we got sidetracked with the whole animal handling thing, because that just comes up a lot whenever there's an animal involved, especially brand new players. Always brand new players.
Yeah.
Which may be why you didn't think of it, because you didn't play with brand new players.
Yeah.
I'm
also not a fan of beasts and pets in MMORPGs. So unless I was a hunter, you don't play hunter. Unless I was playing the hunter and WoW, I don't care for pets or companions following me around or anything.
Okay. But I did like when you tied it back to that ooze scenario that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And you showed the whole tying it back in with the rest of the world, and that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but honestly, that is what it's all about, is just having fun and coming up with scenarios, and don't be afraid to think outside the box. And when you're coming up with an encounter, the way I do it and everything like that is I'm going, okay, what did I see in an action movie that I liked? Okay, what did I see in a horror movie that I liked? What did I see in a Godzilla movie I liked? Do it like that.
Steal from things you like.
Oh yeah, borrow everything like that. I mean, my biggest thing is I like ideas and thoughts and everything like that. Yeah, steal, use ideas. They're out there. Use them. I mean, how many times in movies has a Seventh Samurai story been told over and over and over?
Yep.
All right.
Even Star Wars is derivative
Of the Seventh Samurai, yes.
and the hero's journey and all that.
Yep.
And like, you know,
Yeah, so
and like
use
everything's
it.
derivative.
Yeah, use it.
Everything is everything.
Because if
everything is something else.
Yeah, because if
there is no such thing as an original thought.
No, but if you're using something that is familiar in that aspect, then your players also are familiar with that. So they'll actually tie that into something they've seen before, get an idea, or have a thought of the way they want to do it. So, yeah, I mean, it's all good. Use what's out there, use what you have, and just have fun.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, hopefully this has described a lot of random encounters, the way I look at things, the way I do things, the way I approach different situations, especially when the randomness comes up, and how I actually use different encounters. So, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts or anything that you have on that?
Yes. In the things that you have listed, right?
Yes.
And we can talk about, or actually, scratch that. I say we make this into an episode about different resources that you can use, right?
Yes.
But in the meantime, I want to direct your attention to one specifically for this, which is Kobold Fight Club.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of it?
I have not been to that.
Okay, it is a tool specifically for 5th edition, right?
Yep.
And so you put in just your how many players and what level, right? And it'll give you just a generic goal for like easy, medium, hard, and deadly, right? For like XP goals and like what you're supposed to like, not supposed to, but like what a good guideline is for figuring that out. And then you just plug and play. You grab, okay, you grab a bullet, right? And that's a CR5. Its cost is XP. Its XP is 1,800, right? And let's say that you have a group of players. 4 players. The earliest that this can be made into an encounter that's reasonable is around level 5, right? Because it's CR5, that's how it's designed, right? But if you want it to make it a little more challenging, boom, But yeah, no, you just add in and you can just mix and match different monsters and stuff just so that the math looks right, and then you can move from there.
Right.
But it's just like, yeah.
Well, that's one thing.
It's a really good tool.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I add, and I didn't talk about that because I didn't pull up all those tools, but in the notes here, I listed a whole bunch of different random tables, different sites and stuff like that, which we'll add those in the notes. And that kind of brings up a different thing. I talk about doing encounters just based off of my knowledge and how long I've been doing it and how I actually go about doing things. If you're a first-time dungeon master, it might actually seem overwhelming to try to come up with things just right off the fly.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
So don't feel bad about not being able to come up with something because there's so many different things like that. Use some of these tools and everything like that because I put in here different random counter generators. Different, like for example, your Kobold Fight Club. There's a generator for templates that you add on here. There's a random encounters. There's one of the links I have which has 10,000 random encounter lists. Not lists, but random table lists. It's just a random table generator, and it.
There are people who literally just come up like just for fun.
Right.
Like, their whole thing is just coming up with random tables, and it's like there's so many things that you can do and use. And the thing is when you're talking about making encounters and things like that, the straight up truth is you're going to get it wrong because it's any skill, right? You just you get it wrong and then you do better and you
Right.
learn.
Exactly.
Right?
It's all with experience. It's all experience.
Absolutely.
So,
and you can't get that experience if you don't do it.
That is absolutely correct.
So it's all about, and there's so many little fiddly bits that, like, because just the basic numbers of like the CR system and all that, it doesn't take into account what kind of classes you have, what kind of loadouts you have, what you've given your people, if magic items, who your players are,
Right.
Like, you could have just sword and board run in and just not even think, just go straight to attacking kinds of players, or you could have the tacticians who are going to kite everything and just and use. You could have the war gamers who are, they come in from playing their 40K game and, they're all about like positioning and like all this like, nerd shit. And so that's where, it's so many little tiny things that there are to dial in, and it's all knobs and dials, and you're just tweaking ever so slightly until you get that perfect setup. And your players, and so you can be like, oh, I can take this knob and I can crank that up, and that's exactly what we need. And that is what it's all about, but
I mean, the same thing too. You got your CR ratings. Your CRs are just a basic guideline to give you a rough idea, and then you got to modify.
CR stands for combat rating.
Combat rating,
if I'm not mistaken. Hold up. I'm
sorry. No. Challenge rating.
Challenge rating. Yes. Challenge rating, and it's only for 5th edition. It's a 5th edition thing. Wait, no, it's just a Dungeons and Dragons.
It's a Dungeons and Dragons thing. I was like, wait a second, what the hell?
Thing. Yeah, hold up. It's a D&D thing. So it's very specific to that, and it's all the basic setup for it. The thing is for a group of four adventurers. It's kind of balanced around that. So. Like we were talking about, the bullet is CR5, right?
Yes.
So it is balanced for a group of level 5 players or characters.
Yeah.
Should be able to take that.
Yes, and there's a little bit more into it if you want to go back to some of the previous editions, stuff like that, because if you're taking a look and in between full rests, okay, you can battle a CR5 creature with 4 level 5 characters, okay, and you're supposed to have roughly 10 encounters that you can do before they need another rest as a rough number. So, if you're battling a CR5,
10 is a lot. 10 is a lot.
But also, too, that's also divided out, because with those encounters and everything you do, if you take a look at your XP and your division and everything of that, too, that will also get you to the next level. So, 10 encounters, their level, and everything like that, too. So, there's a whole bunch of variations and everything on that, too.
10 is a lot. 10 is a lot. That's a lot. I don't know. I think the number might be like 10 encounters per level.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's the rough thought and everything else on that too. And it's also going to vary on your characters. And also, besides your characters, it's going to vary on their rolls. If your characters are rolling poorly, it's not going to take 10. It's just a rough idea and a rough schedule to get you to where you need to go when you're doing your basic planning. And then from there, you adjust what you're planning from there.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's, let's say, if you're going to take some of these numbers as hardcore set numbers, it's not going to work.
It's not going to, because that's the thing, is at the end of the day, bare bones, cut it down to the very bare basics. This is a game of chance, right? Mm-hmm. And because this is a game of chance, you can't put hard numbers like this is what this does, and this is what this is for. Because as soon as you do that, that's where you get things like, oh, your players stomp the big bad, or the UTPK, because you're going by these hard numbers when this is all fluid.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just, and you do have to take that. Everything is just so fluid, like you said. Everything is random, and especially if you're dungeon mastering for the first time, you're going to get things wrong. You're going to throw things out accidentally. It's overpowered. You're going to have bad rolls. You're going to have awesome creature rolls. You're going to do a bunch of different things. But time and playing the game, you'll just get better.
Absolutely.
It just takes experience and everything like that. And everything that you give from all the guidelines, all the random encounter tables, everything like that. Take it, modify it, make it your own.
Absolutely. And before we get too far, before we go ahead and get too far off topic, because this is already a Midwest goodbye.
Yes, definitely. And if you don't know that, then be thankful that you don't know what that is. Okay.
So, without further ado, that's Nerd. I'm Son. And together we are the Nerd and Son podcast. Is there any way that people can reach out to you or anything else you wanna plug?
Yes, basically, first of all, for this podcast right here, you can actually send us an email. We are NerdandSon@gmail.com. We're on a Facebook profile, Instagram profile. We are on Threads, bunch of other things. I'll have links and everything is in our video. Connor will have everything listed, links in our podcast of where you can actually record us.
I have to do work.
But for me, also too, you can actually follow me on YouTube. I'm at 13 Peppers by Ralph. I run a channel where I do everything spicy food. So, that's just something, if you're interested in that and watching me burn and suffer, that would be something you can actually there. And that's 13 Peppers by Ralph. So
13 Peppers.
Yes. So any good place for you?
Who knows? I'm a mystery. I am an enigma. I might start streaming. I might not. Who knows?
That's great. Well, whatever it is, we will list that in the notes. So all right. But with that, y'all have a very good day.
Bye.
Bye.